Goodwin Holocaust Museum and Education Center, and we're located in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. We're the only Holocaust museum in New Jersey, and we're happy to be joining you this morning to celebrate Dr. Seuss's birthday. With me this morning is Dr. Paul Winkler, the Executive Director of the New Jersey Commission of Holocaust Education. And the Goodwin Holocaust Museum is proud to be partnering with the Commission and Magpie as we begin today's conversations about accepting differences. But before we begin, I want to remind you that Magpie is recording today's program and also ask that each school first introduce themselves. So Schuylkill Elementary, we'd like to start with you. If you could tell us where you're located and who's with you in the classroom, we'd love to hear from you. Schuylkill, are you signed in?
Yes.
Hi.
Hi.
Where is Schuylkill Elementary?
Phoenixville, Pennsylvania.
I'm sorry, where?
Phoenixville, Pennsylvania.
Phoenixville.
Okay, and what grade is in the room with you?
Third grade.
Third grade, okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Let's hear who else is with us today. Landisville, are you there?
Helen, I think Landisville is not yet on.
Okay, so then Octorara Elementary, are you with us?
Yes.
And can you introduce yourselves? Can we ask the teacher to introduce?
We're Mrs. Welk's fourth grade class.
You are, and where is your school located?
In Ackland, Pennsylvania.
Okay. Well, thank you for joining us.
What grade? Fourth?
Fourth grade. Cornell Elementary, where are you, and what grade are you today?
We're fifth and sixth grade. We're in fifth and sixth grade. Where are you? Coriopolis, PA.
I'm sorry, we didn't hear you.
Coriopolis, PA.
Coriopolis, PA. Okay. Well, we're going to start this morning with Dr. Seuss's book, Sneetches, and we hope that you enjoy it. Dr. Winkler is going to do the reading, and I'm going to show you the pictures.
Good morning, boys and girls. I was so pleased today to be able to be with you to read some stories, not only Dr. Seuss, but some other stories. And the reason I love to talk to classes about Dr. Seuss and storybooks that tell about issues of bullying and prejudice and areas that all of you know about in your classrooms. Dr. Seuss, I don't know if you know this, but when he was young and just beginning to write stories and to draw pictures, he always wanted to teach something, teach a message. So when you're listening to, while the story is funny and it has funny pictures and sometimes poems and strange words, after we read it, I'm going to ask you a question about what do you think he was trying to teach us? So you have your funny hats on and your heads on and your ears listening, and let's see what we can learn from Dr. Seuss and his story, The Sneetches. To bring that down. Now the star-belly Sneetches had bellies with stars, and the plain-belly Sneetches had none upon theirs. Those stars weren't so big, they were really so small. you might think that such a thing wouldn't matter at all. But because they had stars, all the star-belly sneetches would brag. We're the best kind of sneetches on the beaches. And with their snoots in the air, they would sniff and they'd snort. We'll have nothing to do with those plain-belly sort. And whenever they met someone, when they were out walking, they'd hike right on past them without even talking. Boy, they weren't very nice. When the star-belly children went out to play, could a plain belly get in the game? Not at all. You could only play if your bellies had stars, and the plain belly children had none upon theirs. When the star-belly sneetches had Frankfurter roasts or picnics or parties or marshmallow toast, they never invited those plain belly sneetches. They left them out in the cold, in the dark of the beaches. They kept them away, never let them come near, and that's how they treated them year after year. Then one day, while the plain belly sneetches were moping and doping alone on the beaches, just sitting there wishing their bellies had stars, a stranger zipped up in the strangest of cars. Boys and girls, will you all help me now with part of the story? Can you all hear me? I need you to help me. Whenever I say his name, I want you to say it with me. My friends, he announced in a voice clear and keen, my name is Sylvester McMonkey McBean. Can we all say that together? Sylvester McMonkey McBean. And I've heard of your troubles, and I've heard you're unhappy. But I can fix that. I'm the fix-up chappie. I've come here to help you, and I have what you need. And my prices are low, and I work at great speed, and my work is 100% guaranteed. I wonder what he's going to do. I wonder what magic he thinks he can do. Whoa! Then quickly, here we go. Sylvester McMonkey McBean put together a very peculiar machine. And he said, you want stars like a star-belly sneetch? My friends, you can have them for $3 each. Just pay me your money and hop right aboard. So they clambered inside, and the big machine roared, and it clunked, and it bonged, and it jerked, and it burst, and it popped them out. But the thing really worked. When the plain belly sneetches popped out, they had stars. They actually did. They had stars upon theirs. So, I guess the story's over. Everybody has stars. Schuylkill Elementary, do you think the story's over? Schuylkill? Teacher want to ask someone there from Schuylkill Elementary? Do you think the story's over now? Everybody has stars. Anybody have an answer there? Schuylkill Elementary. How about Landisville?
Landisville didn't sign on.
How about Octorara? You think the story's over?
No.
Okay, you're right. You're right, because Dr. Seuss knew something. Then they yelled at the ones who had stars at the start. We're exactly like you. You can't tell us apart. We're just the same now, you snooty old smarties. Now go, we can go to your Frankfurter parties. Good grief, groaned the ones who had stars at first. We're still the best sneetches, and they are the worst. But now how in the world will you know, they all frowned, if which kind is what, or the other way round? They all have stars. But then up came Sylvester McMonkey, help me out, McBean. And he said, things are not quite as bad as you think, so you don't know who's who. That is perfectly true. But come with me, friends. You know what I'll do? I'll make you again the best sneetches on the beaches. And all it'll cost you is $10 eaches. Belly stars are no longer in style, said McBean. What you need is a trip through my star-off machine. The wondrous contraption will take off your stars so you won't look like sneetches who have them on theirs. And that handy machine, working very precisely, removed all the stars from their tummies quite nicely. Then with snoots in the air they paraded about, and they opened their beaks and they let out a shout. Who knows who is who, and there isn't a doubt. The best kind of sneetches are sneetches without. Boy, oh boy. Then, of course, those with stars got frightfully mad. To be wearing a star was frightfully bad. Then, of course, old Sylvester McMonkey McBean invited them into his star-off machine. Then, of course, from then on, as you can probably guess, things really got into a terrible mess. All the rest of that day on those wild screaming beaches, the fix-up chappie kept fixing up sneetches. On again, off again, in again, out again. Through the machine they raced round and about, changing their stars every minute or two. They kept paying money, they kept running through, until neither the plane nor the star bellies knew whether this one or that one or that one was this one.
So we're going to stop for 1 second.
Of the United States of America.
To the schools that are joining us,
I think he's putting you
no.
off.
We're just taking a minute because we're being interrupted by the announcements in the school that we're speaking from. So we'll be back with you in 1 minute. Please be patient.
You can now purchase the 2000.
back to you at our video conference. We're so sorry for the interruption. Sterling High School in Somerdale, New Jersey has been kind enough to loan us their video equipment, and so we're broadcasting to you today from Sterling. They had their morning announcements, and so since we didn't think you were interested in hearing their morning announcements, and you couldn't hear us while the announcements were going on, we needed to take a quick break. But we're back, and Dr. Winkler would very much like to continue the Sneetches story with you.
So boys and girls, you remember last week we left the Sneetches with Sylvester McMonkey McBean, and he took off the stars of one, and now they were feeling like they were the best Sneetches again. So let's remember, and now we'll start and see what happens now. And all the rest of that day on those wild screaming beaches, the fix-up chappie kept fixing up Sneetches. Off again, on again, in again, out again. Through the machine they raced round and about, changing their stars every minute or two. They kept paying their money. They kept running through until neither the plain nor the Starbelly speeches knew whether this one or that one was this one, or which one was what one, or what one was who. Boy, what a mess. Then when every last cent of their money was spent, the fix-up chappie packed up and he went, and he laughed, ha ha ha, as he drove up the beach. They never will learn. You can't teach a Sneetch. Cornell Elementary, do you think that's the end of the story?
Yeah!
You think no?
Yeah! No!
Oh, some are saying yes, and some are saying no. Now remember, Dr. Seuss, when he wrote Sneetches, like he wrote so many of his other books, wanted to teach something. So now I want you to be thinking as we turn, before we even turn to the last page. How about someone at Schuylkill Elementary? Can a teacher see if anyone's there? Might tell us what's going to happen next? Because Sylvester McMonkey McBean was laughing at the Sneetches. You can't teach a Sneetch. Schuylkill Elementary, any idea?
What do you think?
Stand up, stand up.
Stand up loud, Caleb. Stand up.
I think that the lesson is that you can't be fooled just by your money. You can't
be with just the money. Okay, that's part of it. Money isn't going to solve the problem. That's a good point. Let's turn the page and just see what happens here. But McBean was quite wrong, I'm happy to say, that the Sneetches got really quite smart on that day. The day they decided that Sneetches are Sneetches, and no kind of Sneetch is the best on the beaches. That day all the Sneetches forgot about stars, and whether or not they had them upon theirs. And there they are. You don't know which one had them at first. So what lesson did Landisville get there yet? Is Landisville there? How about Octorara? Octorara, what lesson do we think we learned from this?
I think the lesson was no matter if you're different or not, you should always be friends.
Very, very good and well said, Octorara. That it doesn't matter. How about from Cornell? What lesson do you think Dr. Seuss was trying to teach us?
That no matter what size or shape or whatever you wear, you're still human, and
That you shouldn't make fun of people?
Very, very good point. You don't make fun of people because of their size. I mean, not many people have stars on their bellies, but some people have different color skin. Some people have different religions. Some people live in different homes. Some people aren't as wealthy as other people. And we shouldn't make fun or pick on people for any of those reasons. We should only judge people what they do. So if someone does something mean, we judge that person because they're a mean person. But not because they have a star on their belly or purple hair or some religion that we think is different. And you guys learned that lesson. You all going to be kind to other people? Yes. Thank you for that. And Dr. Seuss definitely wanted people to learn that. Let me ask Schuylkill Elementary, what other Dr. Seuss books do you know that teach a lesson? Do you know any other Dr. Seuss book that might teach a lesson?
Stand up.
Go ahead, tell us.
The Lorax.
And what lesson do you think that's teaching?
Well, the Lorax told the Onceler to stop cutting down the trees because the animals would go away and find another land.
Excellent. Excellent. You are absolutely right. And he even speaks about that, Dr. Seuss, in some of the writings about him. The environment and caring about others. Excellent. How about the Octorara? Any Dr. Seuss book that you like that you think teaches a lesson?
Green Eggs and Ham.
And what lesson do you think that's teaching?
To try new things.
That what?
To try new things.
Try new things. That's very interesting. I was wondering what you were going to say. That don't be so stubborn and say, I don't know about that. Try new things. Very, very good. And how about Cornell Elementary? Any Dr. Seuss book?
If I ran the zoo.
Tell me, what lesson do you think that one's teaching?
You can be whatever you want when you grow up.
Absolutely. That you can have dreams, and if you work at it. There's many others, like the Zach, where they get so stubborn that neither will move and nothing ever happens because of it. To give in, to compromise. Those are the kinds of things that make better people. You see, boys and girls, Dr. Seuss really wanted a better world. He wanted a world where no one was picked on and no one was bullied and no one was afraid to go to school because someone would laugh at them. And Dr. Seuss, even as funny as the books are, and as the poems and the words that he writes, and you really learned those lessons. I'm very pleased. We're going to do another one now. It's not Dr. Seuss, but it's another story about something that's been happening lately, and we've all been concerned about it. When people are mean out on the playground and pick on other people, what do we call them sometimes? What do we call people like that? Schuylkill Elementary? What do we call those people? Right, they're the bullies. Well, you know, It's very interesting about bullies. We want to make sure that no one is ever bullied. We want to protect and be careful of those people that are bullied by the bully. But also, we want to see if we can help the bully not be a bully anymore and make the bully a nice person. Well, someone that I know, wrote a book called Billy the Badly Behaving Bully Goat. Can you see a copy of that? Billy the Badly Behaving Bully Goat. It's a brand new book that was written because there's been a lot of talk about that. Let's see what happens with Billy the Badly Behaving Bully Goat. Once there lived a little goat, and Billy was his name. He never played with other goats, but Billy was to blame. The reason for his loneliness, the goats had had enough. Young Billy was a bully goat who always acted tough. Look at him. Billy the Bully Goat. A bully in the neighborhood, a bully in the park, a bully in the morning, and a bully after dark. A bully on the playground, and a bully on the bus. Wherever Billy went, he caused a bully ruckus fuss. Boy, oh boy. How is this person writing it different than Dr. Seuss wrote his stories? How would you say this, Octorara? What kind of writing is this? Where words rhyme together. What do you call that? Octorara, anybody there?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, go.
Emily, go ahead. Sydney, you want to help?
Go ahead, Emily. You got it. Say it.
Poems?
Poem in poetry form.
Good job,
Very,
Emily.
very good, Octorara. And I'm sure others knew that. And so listen to it. It's like a poem, but it tells a story. And again, I want you to be listening. What story are we going to learn? His school behavior was the worst, the bulliest of all. The younger goats would not go near his cubby in the hall. He called goats names, he made them cry, he even pulled their hair. He threw their books and took their things. Their homework he would tear. He picked on goats at recess, and instead of eating lunch, he'd skip his meal and search for kids, or tease and push and punch. His teachers told the principals, our rules he won't obey. A timeout chair placed in the hall was where they made him stay. The punishments he got would not upset him in the least. His parents became desperate as his bully pranks increased. I just don't know what to do, his father did exclaim. With several weeks of sleepless nights, the answer finally came. The wise old goat upon the hill, the answer to our plight. We'll take our son to see him. We must leave tomorrow night. They were really upset. They didn't want him to do these things. The wise old goat lived in a cave on Goat Town's tallest peak. All goats with problems went to him when answers they did seek. His hair was gray, his eyes were blue. Fine wrinkles creased his nose. His shaggy beard had grown so long, it touched his hoof like toes. He was patient, fair, and kind, Plus he had expertise in thought. He'd correct bad situations with the lessons that he taught. Each problem was a challenge, though none were really tragic. Most were solved with counseling. For some, he used goat magic. The goats arrived at dawn, the first appointment of the day, and they left their little bully in the waiting room to play. They told the wise old goat about the problems with their son, how he bullied other goats since the tender age of 1. There were notes from his instructors, detentions by the score, and calls from angry parent goats. They couldn't take much more. The wise old goat sat very still. He did not even blink. He stroked his beard and nodded once. He gave them both a wink. This goat needs help. He is not bad, although he seems quite rude. The magic dust is just the thing to change his attitude. To teach someone about respect, teaching at its best, he grabbed a pen and paper. Here's what I suggest. To help him change his bully ways so he can start to heal, he needs to see what he does makes other goats feel. Oh, that's interesting. A bully for my Billy goat, his mom cried through her tissue. To bully, said the wise old goat, will not resolve the issue. The next time Billy bullies, magic dust will change the tide. He will feel exactly how the victim feels inside. And then, dear parents, you will see a cycle like a wheel. The worse he acts toward other goats, the worse that he will feel. The last part of the plan before his lesson is complete, he needs to feel how goats kids feel when how he acts is sweet. It's these warm and fuzzy feelings Billy will not wish to lose. Respect and sensitivity are traits that he will choose. This all makes sense, said Mr. Goat, and Mrs. Goat agreed. With all our love and strong support, success is guaranteed. Exactly, said the wise old goat. I'm glad I have your trust. Now all I need a secret way to use my magic dust. Does Billy have a favorite toy with which he likes to play? Is there a piece of clothing that he wears to school each day? Mr. Goat then scratched his ear and gave a little cough. His cap, he cried, his baseball cap. He never takes it off. Mrs. Goat brought Billy in. He shuffled in a chair. He crossed his arms and rolled his eyes as if he didn't care. We'll mist your hat with magic dust, no reason to be tense. Then all you say and all you do will have a consequence. The magic dust won't hurt your hat. At first it may feel tight, but please don't try to take it off until you sleep at night. Whatever, Billy did reply, while glancing at his father. As dust fell on his cap, he thought of kids that he could bother. Of new kids he could bother. The next day, Billy packed his lunch, dried grasses mixed with rice. His mom then kissed his cheek and said, "Dear, please try to be nice." He trotted quickly down the street, his cap upon his head. It seemed he had forgotten things the wise old goat had said. He saw a girl from his class. Gardenia was her name. She wore a pair of glasses with bulky purple frame. First, Billy made her drop her books. He gave her tail a tug, and with an angry glare he said, "Your face looks like a bug." His lips began to form a sneer. It did not last for long. And then in a flash, he figured out that something had gone wrong. Billy stood there straight and tall, hooves firmly in his lips, on his hips. The moment that those words came out, his inside did some flips. He felt a little queasy, and his heart began to pound. His head felt strange and dizzy, and his voice could not be found. Gardenia's face looked hurt and sad. A tear was in her eye. She stared at him. He stared at her. They both began to cry. He ran and hid behind a tree. He thought his thoughts were all still reeling. He'd have to pick on someone else to lose this dreadful feeling. Whoa, something's happening. A gentle goat named Godfrey was the victim Billy chose. Tiny freckles marked the skin on his cheeks and nose. When Billy looked at Godfrey's face, he pointed with a grin. Just look at all those silly spots. You look like a leopard's twin. Billy stood there, straight and tall, hooves firmly on his hips. The moment that those words came out, his inside did some flips. He felt a little queasy, and his heart began to pound. His head felt strange and dizzy, and his voice could not be found. Godfrey's lips were quivering, and Billy's skin grew pale. And as they stood there face to face, they both began to wail. Billy then remembered the words of the wise old goat and said, frantically he grabbed his cap. It stuck there on his head. The other goats were shocked and stunned. They watched him dance around. Billy wiped his tear-stained cheeks and left without a sound. He tried more pranks for several days, but each one was a flop. His insides just felt worse. He had to make this stop. What can I do, he begged his mom, so I won't feel so bad? Try being nice, his mom advised. Respectful, said the dad. Be nice to goats. But how, he thought. He had no plan at all. He'd been a bully all his life, at least since he could crawl. So when the goat named Gwen fell down and landed with a yelp, instead of making fun of her, Billy tried to help. His insides felt much better. His heart felt rather light. He even heard his mouth call out, "Hey, Gwen, are you all right?" Gwen looked up with great surprise as the goat kid circled round. Then Billy stooped to gather books and pencils from the ground. The other kids held their breath. Would poor Gwen be attacked? But Billy handed Gwen her things. Her books were neatly stacked. Whoa, Billy is sure acting strange. Did Billy bonk his head? Should someone call the principal? Should Billy be in bed? He seemed so different from the bully goat he was before. Can it be true that Billy's not a bully anymore? From that day on, he stopped all pranks, his rude behavior too. And Billy learned to be a friend. His character was new. No picking fights, no pulling hair, no nasty bully tricks. No calling names, no teasing kids. No punches, bumps, or kicks. He learned to share with other goats. He learned to wait his turn. He found out that he liked to smile instead of looking stern. So thankful were his parents to the wise old goat they wrote. The magic dust, our son became a thoughtful, gentle goat. He has new friends, he loves his school. We're so pleased we could clap. But could you tell us what to do when he outgrows his cap? The wise old goat called Billy's folks and told them not to worry. Though magic dust works very well, it wears off in a hurry. Your son's new actions are his own. The changes from his heart The magic dust just gave the push for him to do the part. Now Billy uses careful thoughts and feelings as his guide. He knows his actions can affect other goats inside. So good for you. You should be proud of everything you did. Congratulations, you now have a well-adjusted kid. Thanks so much, said Mrs. Goat through sobs and joyful tears. They lived with peace and happiness for many goat years. So, boys and girls, let's see if Cornell Elementary, do you think the magic dust changed the goat? Cornell Elementary. One of the teachers want to get one of the students. Cornell, do you think it was magic dust that changed the person? Cornell Elementary. There's who is speaking?
Jamal.
What do you think, Jamal? Do you think it was magic dust?
No.
No, you are absolutely right. There is no such thing. How about Schuylkill Elementary? You think it was magic dust?
No.
No. No. Nothing can make a person change. No magic dust. Nothing you eat. You have to change from within inside yourself. Inside yourself. So here we have a story, boys and girls, not only of the people being bullied, but to help the bully. And if the bully doesn't bully people, we don't have bullies. That would be a nice place to be, where there are no bullies. Now, I want to ask you a question, Octorara. Octorara, what can you do if bullying is happening to you or to someone else? What can you do? What's something you can do?
Try to calm down that bully and tell him the nice things that he can do.
That's very nice. You could say, hey, why don't you do this and be nice? And you don't have to do that. And if someone won't listen to that, Cornell, what else might you do? If somebody is bullying someone else and making fun of someone, what could you do? What's something you might do? Cornell? Is there something else somebody can think of that you could do? One of the teacher could call on someone.
You can give other suggestions and say that they can say something nicer than say something rude or mean to you. They can.
Yeah, that's a very good idea. That's like the other school said. But if they won't stop it and they keep on doing it, what else could you do? What are some other things you might do? Schuylkill Elementary, what might you do? Yes, very good. You could go tell someone. You could tell someone else. And people like that who stand up and tell a teacher, tell their parents, tell the school counselor, tell someone, and even tell the bully themselves, hey, be nice. You don't have to do that. You know what I like to call those people? Upstanders. An upstander, a hero, a good person. And I know in these 3 schools, Schuylkill Elementary and Landisville Intermediate and Octorara and Cornell, I have a lot of upstanders in these rooms who, whenever things maybe are bad and there's a bully or somebody comes in with a star on their belly, or they come to sit at your table at the cafeteria and then maybe they're wearing something that's a little strange or different, you won't make fun. You won't laugh. You'll invite them to be with you and make them part of your school and make them part of your friends. Now, if they're mean, if they do something, you have good people there. You have your teachers that you can tell. So, boys and girls, I just want to tell you that there are many, many books and stories.
And we actually brought some others with us today that we wanted to show you, because these are some of our favorites that talk to you about some of these issues that we've been talking about today. And if you haven't read them, we'd like to suggest that you try the Berenstein Bears New Neighbors book. It's a fun story about new people in the neighborhood, and I think that there are many times that you're the new person in your class or in your school, and you like to make sure that that person feels welcome. We have another one that we really like, written by the same author who wrote Billy and the Badly Behaving Bully Goat that Dr. Winkler just read to you. And this one is called The New Bear on the Block. And that author is Stacy Schwartz, for anyone who's looking for the book. Many of you may have read other books by Patricia Polacco. She's written a lot of books, but this is her newest. And it's called Bully. And it talks about some of the things that Dr. Winkler was just talking to you about today. And what you should do when someone is behaving badly, treating other people or you not the way you want to be treated. And some ideas that you can talk about to stop that bully from being mean to people. Another really good one by Patricia Polacco is Mr. Lincoln's Way, and we hope that you enjoy her books. Blue Lou and the Bullyfish is a really fun book that you might be able to find. And actually in the book, they include a CD with some music. This one is for probably younger kids, and it talks about a fish and what happens when he wants to join a group and his friend isn't included in that group, and what he can do to make sure that he stays friends and not have his friend feel hurt and left out of another group. Teammates is a famous story about Jackie Robinson, who was a black man, and he was the first black baseball player. And it's a wonderful story, and we hope that you try it. It's written by Peter Golenbach, and it tells you what his teammates did to make him feel welcome when black people were not welcomed in society or anywhere in baseball. Another book that you probably should find for your classrooms is called Rhinos and Raspberries. And it's a wonderful collection of short stories and poetry. It's given out by the Southern Poverty Law Center. And for teachers, you can go on to their website, which is tolerance.org, and get this book at no charge for your classrooms. It's a great collection of stories all dealing with tolerance and acceptance of others.
I'd like to just thank all the schools, and for the teachers, there's a wonderful book, The Terrible Things by Eva Bunting, that you might want to look up. if you have it in your library, that teaches how we have to help one another. Eva Bunting, The Terrible Things. So thank you very much, boys and girls.
Thank you all for joining us today, and we're going to let each school say goodbye. If you'd like to make a final comment, we hope that you enjoyed joining us today and celebrating Dr. Seuss's birthday. So Schuylkill Elementary, do you have any final words for us?
Yes.
Thank you. Octorera, how about you? Do you want to tell us anything before you leave?
Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. We liked having you with us. Cornell Elementary, we hope you guys all learned lots of good lessons today. Do you have anything to tell us before you leave? Thank you, everybody. Have a good day.